Once there was an apple who sat on the far end of an old apple tree branch, but for some reason nobody would ever pick him. The apple to the right of him was picked, the apple to the left of him was picked, the apple above him was picked, and the apple below him was picked. But for some reason nobody would ever pick him. He didn't know why no one would pick him. Maybe it was because he had a bump on his side, or perhaps his stem was crooked, or perhaps maybe he was just the wrong color. Regardless the reason, the lone apple began to seriously wonder whether he would ever have a purpose in this world. Then one day his stem began to wobble and he thought, "Oh no, if my stem breaks then surely no one will ever pick me." Just then a quick gust of autumn wind blew by and his stem did in fact break, and the lone apple fell down to the ground. Now, he thought, surely I will never have a purpose in this world. Soon the air turned cold and winter winds blew dirt and leaves upon him. Snowflakes began to fall and fall and fall until he was covered in a blanket of white. It was cold, it was dark, and worst of all, it was lonely. The one thing this apple hated most was being lonely. But then, the earth began to warm, and the snow began to melt, and where the lone apple had fallen was a little mound, and out from that mound poked a little green sprout, and the green sprout grew and grew and grew until it was a sturdy sapling, and the sturdy sapling grew and grew and grew and grew and grew until it was a large, grand tree with white blossoms. And even this large, grand tree grew and grew and grew and grew until it was even larger and grander, with juicy red apples from every branch. This large, grand apple tree was no longer lonely and very, very happy to see his purpose in this world. But then, one day, on the far end of his old apple tree branch, there was an apple, but for some reason nobody would ever pick him.